Hi. All right. We are back to reading Stink, the Incredible Shrinking Kid. Remember last week we read chapters 1 and 2, and remember Stink was what was happening to him according to his sister Judy. Yeah, that he was shrinking. So then he did up his hair, right? His sister told him if he does his hair up, it'll make him look taller. But then what happened to his hair? Yeah, his sister turned it orange. So he went to school and he got called to go get the milk. And that never happens, but he got to go. And on his way back, he was getting tired because he's shrinking. He's so short. It seemed like such a long walk, remember? But what did the nurse tell him? That everybody shrinks during the day, and then we grow back to our regular size at night, right? Okay, well, let's read chapters 3 and 4 this week, and let's see what they have to say. Chapter 3 is called Up, Up, Up. Remember, get your paper pencil to answer the questions if you do it that way. If not, you'll do it on your Google Docs here when we're done, and we'll talk about it more when I call. I'm going to apologize ahead of time if you hear the dogs. They're playing, and so you might hear them every now and then with their toys. Okay, chapter 3 Up, Up, Up. Stink walked tall down the hall, around the corner, and back to class 2D. Stink, you won, said Sophie of the Elves. While you were gone, said Mrs. Dempster, we drew a name to see who would get to take Newton home this weekend. Your name was chosen. For real? Me? I get to take the Newt home? You have all the luck, said Webster. Things are definitely looking up, 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 said Stink, telling himself a joke and cracking himself up, up, up. Stink climbed on the bus. He held the critter keeper carefully in his lap. Don't worry, Newton, said Stink. I'll take really good care of you. The best. What's that? Asked Judy when she got on the bus. A red-spotted newt, like a baby salamander? His name's Newton. Where'd you get him? Okay, let's look up a picture of a newt so we can see what kind of class pet they had here. There's a newt. That's what he's taking home. That's his class pet. All right. He's our class pet. We're studying life cycles, and Mrs. D went to New Hampshire and brought him back for us. I'm taking care of him for the weekend. I get to play with him and watch him and keep a journal of stuff that happens. Judy snorted. Hang on, there's the toy. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Judy snorted. New Hampshire, Stink? Not New Hamster. You mean Newt Hampshire? Said Judy's friend Rocky. It's in Newt, England, said Judy, cracking up. Stink rolled his eyes. When Stink got home, he did not stop to get a snack, not even Fig Newtons. He took Newton up to his room. He got out his notebook and wrote, Friday, 3:37, Newton hiding. Stink stared at the newt. Judy came in and peered over his shoulder. Friday, 3:40, Newton hiding. Friday, 3:45, Newton still hiding. You should write boring in your journal, said Judy. Newts are not boring, said Stink. Name one unboring thing about a newt, said Judy. Newts eat crickets and worms and slugs, said Stink. Boring, said Judy. Red-spotted newts are the state amphibian of New Hampshire. Boring, said Judy. Okay, how about this? Newts start out as eggs. Then they hatch and swim around like tadpoles. Then they turn into red F's and live on land. Then they change color and go back to the water. Now that's a teensy-weensy bit not boring, said Judy. And they shed their skins, Stink said. Interesting, said Judy. Call me when that happens. On Saturday, Stink wrote in his journal some more. Here it says 10:52, Newt sniffed at worm. 10:53, Newton sniffed at fake turtle. 11, Newton ate cricket whole. 11:30, Newton climbed up on new rock. 11:36, missed Newton with spray bottle, so he sprayed him with some water. 11:38, Newton stared at magazine picture of pond. 11:45, Newton sleeping. 12, Newton hiding. 12:06, still hiding. Stink, are you going to stare at that Newt all weekend? Asked Judy. I'm building him a raft out of Legos. Maybe he'll come out and float. You know what would be really unboring, said Judy. Put the Newt in with Toady. No way, said Stink. Newts are like poisonous to toads. So that means Toady won't eat him. Come on, Stinker. Today is all lonely. Toady's all lonely. Before Stink could say Fig Newton, Judy scooped up Newton in her hands. You're supposed to wash your hands, said Stink. Don't drop him. I won't drop him. She set him down on some moss in Toady's tank. There he is. Newton sniffed at Toady and curled up his tail. He's scared, said Stink. Wait, said Judy. Toady licked Newton. Take him out, yelled Stink. It was just a friendly lick, said Judy. A Newt lollipop. What if Toady gets poisoned? Get him out! Get him out! Don't lay an egg! Judy picked up Newton in her not-washed hands. Stink! Something bad is wrong with Newton. His head is splitting open. Let me see! Stink peered at the Newt. Sure enough, Newton's skin had split, starting right at his head. He's shedding his skin, said Stink. Put him back! Put him back! They peered at Newton. Do you think it'll really come off? Asked Stink. Sure, said Judy. It means he's growing, unlike some people. Even a Newt grows more than me, said Stink. Boring. I wish something would happen, said Judy. She leaned over and wrote in Stink's journal. 1:15. Boring. Stink erased it. Growing takes time, he told Judy. That's what everybody always tells me. Maybe if we say some magic words, said Judy. Eye of Newt, blah, blah, blah. Wool of bat, tongue of toad. It's happening, said Stink. Rare, said Judy. She ran to get the video camera. Lights, camera, action. Stink took out his journal and wrote. 1:10, Newton licked by a toad. 1:12, Newton gets splitting headache. 1:21, Newton's skin falling off. 1:35, Newton rubs against rock. 1:35, Newton rubs against plant. 1:44, Newton rubs against everything to shed skin. 1:47, Newton's skin hanging by a thread. 1:52, Newton bites off skin at tail. Gross, said Judy. She stopped the camera. Sweet, said Stink, staring at the Newt skin. Hey, can I have it? Asked Judy. To show my class, I mean. No way, said Stink. You already showed the whole world my dried up baby belly button. I'm showing my class. Mrs. Dempster would want you to show my class, too. Not if you keep calling her Mrs. Dumpster. The Adventures of Stink and Newt Boy. Stink Moody stumbles upon a supersonic Newt skin. Cool, I wonder if it fits. Ta-da! Stink is now Newt Boy. Oh no, I'm hungry for Newt. Newt Boy dives into a vat of hot pepper sauce. Bon appetit, amphibian man. Bye. Okay, so now let's stop and we just have a couple questions to do for chapter 3. Okay. Why does Stink think about taking Newton home? And we can even change this to why or what does he think? Is he happy about taking him home? Is he not happy about taking him home? And then make sure you restate. And then number 2, why is the Newt shedding his skin? So why is Newton shedding his skin? Then number 3, we want to finish the box with the matching vowel sounds. So we have the words change, Up, gross, drew, van, said. We want to know which ones of these match the same sound as those. So newt, ooh. Which one has the same ooh sound? Change. Do you hear the ooh sound in change? Up, ooh. Gross, ooh. Drew, newt, drew. Yeah, so you would go ahead and write drew on your box. Then you're going to finish. You have eggs, take, wrote, luck, bad. Okay. Remember, if you have to pause it here so you can write them down. And we will go over it more when I call you or when we do our video chats, okay? We're going to go back and read chapter 4 now. Chapter 4, Stinkerbell, Shrinkerbell. P.U., what's that smell? Judy held her nose. What smell? That dead skunk smell. That 100-year-old dirty sock smell. That 300-year-old rotten egg smell. Judy walked around Stink's room, sniffing here, sniffing there. It gets super stinky as soon as you get close to Newton. Newton! Cried Stink. He sprang up from the floor where he'd been drawing comics. Newton was in his hidey hole. Maybe it's the chopped up dead worms in there and dried up crickets. Why isn't he eating? Grody, grody, gross. There's greeny slime everywhere, Judy said, and brown stuff floating in the water. Stink, you have to clean it every day. Newts can die if their water gets too dirty. Since when are you the newt genius? Since I read it in Newt's Week magazine. You have to dump out the yucky water and wash the rocks and clean off all the slime and stuff. That's a lot of homework, Stink said. Come on, Stinkerbell, I'll help. We'll be the Slime Busters. Slime Busters? Double cool, said Stink, but you can't call me Stinkerbell. If you say so, Stinkerbell, let's take it down to the big sink. Stink carried the critter keeper down to the kitchen, but he couldn't reach the sink. Here, let me, said Judy. She took the critter keeper from Stink and set it on the counter. Stink stood on a kitchen chair. First, we have to get Newton out so we can clean his house. Stink, hold the jar. Let's put Newton in there. Okay, said Stink, holding a tiny net. Judy reached in to scoop out Newton with her hand. The net! Cried Stink. Mrs. D says use the net for scooping him out. Hold on, wait, I almost have him. Ha ha, said Judy. Gotcha, you little newt brain. He is not a newt brain, said Stink, and you're scaring him. He sure is slippery, said Judy. You should call him Squirmy. Just then Squirmy squirmed right out of Judy's hand, slipped into the sink, and went sloop right down the drain. Uh-oh, that's not good. What do you think is going to happen? Stop and write on your piece of paper. Just a prediction. What do you think is going to happen? Newton just went down the drain. Newton, cried Stink. You lost him, he yelled at Judy. Don't worry, Stink, said Judy. He's probably just swimming around down there under the sink. Judy peered down the drain. Is he there? Asked Stink. Do you see him? I can't see him, said Judy. It's dark. I need a flashlight or something. No, wait. Let me turn the light on. Judy flicked the switch above the sink. Grrr! A loud grinding up sound made them both jump back. Stop! Yelled Stink. Judy turned off the switch. Oops! Wrong switch. Uh-oh, does anyone know what that was? When there's a switch by the sink and it makes this grrr sound? Yeah, the garbage disposal. You killed Newton, cried Stink. The state amphibian of New Hampshire, my class pet, my homework. Stink ran to his room. He threw himself face down on the bed. Newton was gone, goner, gonest. All that was left of Stink's class pet was his not boring newt skin. Stink gave the newt skin a place of honor on his desk, right next to his gold Sacagawea dollar, his state quarters, and his French cootie catcher. The newt skin just sat there, lonely, empty, dead. Deader than a doorknob. Stink decided to do his homework. Homework always made him feel better. Stink drew a still life of the newt skin for art class. He read a poem called Who Has Seen the Wind? He wrote one called Who Has Seen the Newt? And he used all his homework phrases and sentences. Taking care of a newt is easier said than done. I hope Newton does not get cold feet out on the river. If your class pet goes down the drain, go back to the drawing board. Judy came up to his room. I'm sorry, Stink, she said. I'm super duper sorry. But I bet Newton slipped right down the pipes and on down to the river before I even flipped the switch. Stink put down his pencil. You think? Newton is having the time of his life. Think of it like Stuart Little. He's probably sailing down the river right now on a raft, having a big, fat newt adventure. What am I going to tell Mrs. Dempster and my class? They'll understand. It's all part of the life cycle, Stink. The garbage disposal is not part of the life cycle, said Stink. Stink finished his homework. He wrote the last entry in his journal. Sunday, 5:21, Newton goes down the drain. Here's his little cartoon for the day. The Adventures of Stink and Newt Boy meets Jaw Monster. After a long day of saving the world, Newt Boy naps on a slimy rock. Sloop. Newt Boy slips into the steely mouth of Jaw Monster. Gotcha, you little newt brain. Newt Boy finds some spaghetti in the disposal and makes a clever escape. Okay, let's go back. Let's do chapter 4 questions here. You have 4 of them today. Number 1, why was Stink's room stinky? Number 2, what happened to Newton? Number 3, how does Stink feel about losing Newton? And number 4, draw what you would do if Newton went down the drain. All right, I look forward to talking to you about this, and I cannot wait to see what happens. What do you think is going to happen when he goes back to school? That's what we're going to talk about when I call too. What do we think is going to happen when he has to go back to school? All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.